Hi, Stuart Talley here to do a video today about the ASR settlement that was recently announced in March of 2017. Specifically, we've received lots of questions from people who had their hip explanted and they qualify for the settlement, but there are substantial reductions in their settlement amount because of the length of implant. And specifically, under the settlement agreement that was recently announced by DePuy, if you had an ASR that was revised and it was implanted for more than 5 years, there's actually deductions to the amount that DePuy is willing to pay. Specifically, the big deductions kick in if you've had your hip installed for more than 7 years. If you're even 1 day over 7 years, there's the settlement's $150,000. So that's $100,000 less than what somebody gets if they had the hip for less than 5 years. That number goes down to $100,000 if you've had it in for more than 8 years, $50,000 if you've had it in for more than 9 years. DePuy is refusing to pay any money to someone that had it in for more than 10 years. And so lots of people have asked, why are these deductions so big? What's the rationale behind them? And I can tell you DePuy's rationale is that as somebody who received one of these hips, the expectation for most people was that the hip would have to be revised 15 to 20 years down the road. Most metal on plastic hips, which would be the alternative to the DePuy ASR, would have to be revised during this time period. However, I personally do not believe that's a fair rationale for such dramatic deductions in the settlement values on these cases. Many of our clients didn't have revision surgery earlier because they didn't have doctors who were performing blood tests, or they had doctors who were just reluctant to perform the revision, or they had health problems that made a revision difficult to perform. And those are reasons to actually support more money, because a lot of people had extensive tissue damage to their hip because it was in for so long. Also the idea that a 10-year limit is sort of the limit of what they're willing to pay, that's also something we don't agree with. We are actually pursuing cases where we have clients that have had their hips in for more than 10 years. As I indicated, there's all kinds of reasons why somebody may not have had revision surgery, and the settlement doesn't really take into account that somebody who actually had their hip in longer may have more damages than somebody who had it taken out right away. We've seen lots of cases where by the time the hip's taken out, there's so much tissue damage that there's permanent disability in the sense that the new hip doesn't operate properly. There's dislocations. People have a limp or they have pain for the rest of their life because of the extensive tissue damage. So if you have a hip and you're being subjected to these large length of implant deductions, I encourage you to talk it over with your attorney, explain why you had such a length of time between your implant and your revision surgery. As with any settlement that's offered in these cases, you don't have to take it. So if you have one of these hips, or you have any questions about the rationale in this settlement agreement, you can call us. You can reach us at the phone number on the screen. You can fill out one of our online forms and a lawyer will call you right back.